Hello, this is Martin Warren with another Explorer tape from the laboratory of the Monroe Institute. The Explorer you hear on this tape, GLA, is one of our newest Explorers. She channels an energy that tells us we may call it Eku, a name that Eku says will remind us of our word echo, meaning that which goes out comes back. Eku likes to represent that thought to us. We truly enjoy conversations with this new non-physical friend because of the clear and concise information it shares with us. That allows us, as you will hear, to cover a lot of ground in any single session. The monitor of the first session you'll hear is Marie Coble, who is herself a seasoned explorer. Marie begins with a question on the personal development of the individual and later asks for information on the process of channeling and personal guidance.
We've been discussing quite a few subjects, and each one of them we can go off in many directions. I tend to think the one dealing with the personal development of the individual seems most important. Do you agree with that?
Yes, that is always most important for each individual.
Thank you. As we get on the road to clearing ourselves and expanding our consciousness, we're faced with many new problems. One of the problems is trying to differentiate between that which is a normal phenomena and that which is called magic. Could you explain this, please?
It is all really magic. All of it. That you consider normal is only that portion that you have been trained to pay attention to. There is much that goes on that you do not recognize and are not aware of. These then become magical. They become miracle because you do not know them well. However, if you simply become aware of even one more voice within your system, then this will no longer become magical or a miracle, and you will see it as something that is normal. Of course, what happens at the beginning is that there is much doubt. Doubt is the one thing that can prevent each individual from going further and hearing more and more. Doubt is something that is used from your normal or from your everyday kind of awareness in order to not pay attention to other things than those that you have been trained to understand. Doubt is a defensive mechanism to keep order. Doubt can be trained to stay away and to allow these new voices, this new information to come forth.
Thank you very much. That is clear. I would like your ideas on the attitudes on the earth. So far now we have met you, we are experiencing conversation with you, and to admit that there are energies such as you on the earth plane automatically brings into focus the possibility of entities or energies entering in that would not be pleasant. Could you differentiate or explain to us what the so-called earthbound energies and possession Would you talk about this, please?
Certainly. The so-called possession attitude, the person who seemingly has taken in another entity, is someone who has disallowed, who has abandoned a portion of himself to another energy state. Perhaps it is, for instance, someone who has learned that certain thoughts, certain kinds of feelings are not acceptable and must be turned away from. These thoughts and feelings become an entity and are abandoned by the individual. At some point, the abandoned portions will constantly attempt to reunite with the portion that they see as their leader. And when this happens, the person then experiences picking up or harboring something that is foreign. However, this is not foreign, but simply that which has been previously abandoned. This is one such example, and is the type of thing that happens most frequently. There are those also that hear voices, and these voices may tell them that they must kill themselves, for instance. Again, this is a portion of the personality that is denied union with the whole, and because this tends to be very often those responses and thoughts that are filled with anger, these then come back and want to be reunited, and so will tell the entity to kill themselves. This is the major portion of what is called possession.
Thank you. If then an individual finds oneself thinking detrimental thoughts, then they should look for this within themselves rather than think that they are being possessed by, quote, an outside entity.
Yes, within your plane there is a duality. This is part of the physical experience, so that as long as there is good on the one hand, there is anger and bad on the other. This also includes fears and repressions and all that is considered to be negative. These thoughts, these feelings flow through one just as the good feelings flow. These should simply be allowed to flow. To stop them at any point, to say, go away, I do not want you, to abandon them is to create a pocket of these negative feelings that will build up and create perhaps an individual's own private little monster.
Do I understand correctly then that in this duality we're subject to energies such as yourself and such as thought forms by man, and if that is true, then there's influences. Could you elaborate on that and also bring in how we as personalities on the earth plane influence other physical entities and have them influence us?
Energy is always in movement, and as such, The influence that you begin or that another begins continues throughout the universe once the movement has begun. So, between individuals, for instance, if you say to your neighbor that your neighbor does not look very good, does not appear to be up to par, you are giving that individual more permission to perhaps go in the direction of feeling badly. This is one way, or you could say to that individual, you are looking well, and that person can choose to take that and to create a feeling of wellness. Words and their characters have great impact upon the individual as well as upon others. Your world is very much involved with words. You think in words, you put everything together in words. I come here, and the way I communicate with you is within words. These are your structures. This is how you build your world. So that if I need to communicate, this is the method that is the easiest and the one that you recognize more fully. There are other ways of communicating that I can have with you and with this entity, which I do take care of, and that is in ways that do not include words, but include working within the probabilities and utilizing the energies around and in this entity to create states of awareness that will bring about those things that this entity has decided to contemplate and directions and goals that she wishes to accomplish.
Thank you very much. Then someone beginning on the path, would it be to their benefit to then place themselves into the most positive areas? I'm speaking of someone who is not clear, as we don't have our full control. Would that be one way to do it, to place ourselves in positive atmospheres?
Absolutely. That is really showing yourself that you value who you are and that you deserve and are worthy of being in what is good, what is pleasant, what it is that is feeling good for the person. That is an excellent message to give to yourself. It is an excellent remedy when you are feeling badly, when you think that perhaps you're not doing as well as you would like, when you bring in those doubts and begin to beat yourselves with those kinds of words, to say, well, I am worthy, and to take yourself off into an environment that tells you that you are good. That is one way if you are not able to control those thoughts and to build and change your internal environment.
I would like to ask your opinion on methods that have been derived here on the earth planes about, for a shortcut. I think that's the word for it. What is your attitude towards subliminal patterns being placed into an individual when they are in the state called sleep, or when that which we know as consciousness is not there.
Such tapes, such ways of reaching the individual can be quite helpful, except there is a big problem with this, and that is the subliminal message also, that the individual does not have the power to handle this on a conscious basis. This can be very undermining as well, and can produce quite the opposite effect depending upon the individual, of course.
Yes, thank you. I would like to also ask you, as we're on the road to development, and when we are fortunate enough to have our guidance speak to us, such as you are, we're curious. There seems to be two distinct methods of this occurring. In that, in some instances, the explorer is somewhere but is aware of the information in a conscious way. And in other cases, the individual explorers are not aware and have absolutely no memory of the words. Could you explain this to us?
This is a choice that the individual makes. It does not depend upon the non-physical entity at all. The physical entity might feel that to stay away, to not hear, to not participate in a conscious way means that what happens, the transmission, for instance, has more validity than when the individual stays around to hear and to take in consciously what is happening. It is simply a way for the person to be more accepting of what is occurring, so that if they indeed are not there, then what is happening is perhaps more real for them, because they can separate the non-physical entity from themselves.
But I would like to ask one question on that. When a channel has no conscious memory of it, and the guidance has given much information, is this a type of subliminal information being given to the channel?
This can be perceived in that fashion because the entity who remains as the channel certainly benefits on a non-conscious way with the transmission. You can see this as subliminal. The individual then has a particular view of their own power and the power and ability of their consciousness. So this may be perceived in this way.
Thank you. I would like to ask your advice on, let's say, a channel who has no conscious memory. And then becomes fearful of what is taking place. What do you have any idea as to what would be the cause of them desiring to do it, having no memory of it, and then having a fear of it?
The reason for the fear would be that what is happening is somehow foreign, that it is an invasion and is not part of the individual. All entities do have non-physical persons and help from the non-physical realm, and this is quite natural. However, an individual who prefers not to have a memory sees themselves as closed and not open at all to what is non-physical. This person would then, when beginning to channel, when beginning to receive information, it would be a foreign source, something from outside, and therefore something that could harm that person. Then fear takes place, and then the body itself would take this on, and problems would automatically ensue.
Do you have any suggestions as to what an individual in this position, what steps that they could take to work this problem out?
The first step would be for this person to begin to see himself as open to the universe, to feel the energy flow through the entire body, that this is a normal process, and that feels very good once this begins, and once the person becomes more aware of energy flowing through, not only when this person concentrates on this, but also in other times, then the foreign aspect will not be quite so strong, and the individual will be able to visualize and to create the ability for this non-physical experience to come in and flow through, just as the energy does.
When we find ourselves on the path and we have found our guidance and begin to receive instructions from that source, could you tell us then in the road to growth what we have to look forward to?
Yes, indeed, there is much to look forward to. The ability to take on your world more and more, to create on a conscious level those attitudes, those physical kinds of realities. This is what you can look forward to be more of a co-creator, to be much more aware of what it is that you desire to have before you. This, for each individual, is of course quite different. However, the abilities are all latent and are now becoming more excited by the developments of the joining of physical and non-physical energies.
Thank you very much. That would denote a change then within the physical, mental, and all the quote bodies of the individual.
Yes, indeed, this would be felt on all planes, on the physical, the mental, the emotional, the psychological. On all levels, you would then be working in a very conscious way to develop those attitudes, those physical realities and those psychological states that you so desire.
Do you guide your subject? I know you're with her constantly. In certain manners, you give guidance. Now that you're able to communicate in this sense, do you have any special words or intents that you would like to give to your channel at this time?
I would like to put into words that indeed her desire and intent to be conscious about creating her reality is coming, and that there are going to be some demonstrations very shortly that she is in the process of working on and planning within her dream state, that I wish to make known to her that there are some exciting and wonderful things that she is working on and will soon make their appearance in physical reality.
Thank you. I know she's certainly glad to hear that. In our, again, search for guidance, we know we're all on different rings of the ladder moving up. What should our goal be when we're in the middle and we look at our other brothers and sisters on both sides of us? What should our attitude and intentions be?
Those that appear to be a bit more developed than you, and you see them and desire to be similar to them, do not say to yourself, "Oh, I'm not there, dear me." Instead, say, "Yes, yes, that is for me. I too am going to do this." For those that are on a level that is perhaps not as developed as you, you say to them, "Yes, you shall too develop. You will. It is inevitable, and I encourage you to continue your wonderful work."
Thank you very much. Is it possible for us to visualize a world where every individual is, quote, a channel?
This will someday be quite the ordinary, that each individual will be quite aware and in constant communication with their non-physical reality as well as with the physical. This will simply be taught and will be accepted as part of everyday life. This tends to be the direction on which the evolutionary process is now taking and beginning its leap.
Thank you. That really sounds encouraging. Could you give us some visual images on what it would be like to be in a world where everyone was in touch with their guidance and with the unseen world?
This will be very different from what you experience, because communication will be on levels other than only in words. You will be communicating with each other on a basis that has something to do with what you now call non-verbal communication, will be more direct and will be the kind of communication that groups of people will come together who have similar intents and will work on projects together. This does not mean that they will be together perhaps in space, but will work together in a non-physical realm. However, be quite aware of this on a physical level to produce new technologies in curing disease, in curing and helping the planet regain its healthy state. These will be the most powerful ways. Also, the development of new sources of energy through minerals and the understanding of sound waves will be an important and everyday part of existence. It will be quite different from the way that you now experience yourself as being totally distinct and separate.
In this world that you speak of coming into being, is there anything we can do to hurry that along? In other words, how is the information on the technology given to us? How do we go about tapping into that and getting it started and getting it here now?
It is all in the process at this time. The individuals who will be discovering so-called these new technologies are now in the process of joining their physical consciousness with the non-physical, and through the process of intuition and creativity and the work with others and becoming aware that these things will automatically happen. The process is in order. It is taking place. There will be some changes that perhaps are not so pleasant as a birth type of process. However, it is all coming together, as you say, and please do not be so impatient. You are developing that which you need first.
Thank you very much. Yes, we do tend to become a little impatient, but just your knowledge of knowing that it's there is very helpful.
Oh, yes, indeed. It is all taking place. You are eagerly reaching out for new knowledge. It is happening, and it is at a pace that is quite good, and it shall continue.
Thank you very much. Your discussion today on the channeling and personal development has been most helpful. Within these areas we've been discussing, would you like to sum up any attitudes or feelings on these subjects?
The thing that I believe I wish to speak to at this moment is the subject of patience. It also goes along with the feeling of well-being and with the idea and feeling of love. Do love yourself. You are exactly where you are supposed to be this very moment. And do not think yourself less or that you are not where you are supposed to be. Indeed not. Love yourself now. You are exactly what you are supposed to be.
Thank you. That helps all of us. It's been a most interesting discussion, and we do hope that we'll be able to continue this. It's time now for our explorer to come back. Unless you have something else to tell us, we'll say goodbye.
I look forward to our next conversation, and until then, goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
In another session with Eku 2 days later, I begin with a line of questions on individual development, leading to some practical exercises for the individual. That conversation begins on the other side of this tape. I've been thinking in terms of our individual development, which you spoke so well about it yesterday. We, each of us in our ways, are trying consciously to create a world according to our own best desires and intent for manifesting changes. And this, can you speak to this in terms of the concept of time? When we pray, we're talking about the future, and when we pattern with our consciousness, we're talking about the future. What is our relationship to this ability that we feel is within our grasp to learn and understand?
The future is available in this very moment. It is always so. So is the past always available in this moment. We all practice our lives as a spout, as a fountain out of the moment, and it goes out into what is experienced here as a time flow out into the future.
Are there certain forms of this that are more effective or more suitable to our present intellectual and mental state?
This is always the case. The individual with the intent and desire, whether clear or not, creates the moment as well as the direction for the future from this moment now.
Okay. One of the problems to my mind in my present stage of development is that to create my future would involve my knowing what I want the future to be. It seems like it would be that, and I don't know really what I want it to be. I don't think I understand enough of the big picture to put forms on tomorrow, but I want tomorrow to be something, right? I have this desire to shape tomorrow for healing and happiness of myself and everybody else. how can we best put that sort of thing into our daily lives as we walk around in practical affairs and things like that?
The most effective way of bringing those things you most desire is to hold them within your mind and to charge them with feeling. The overall ideas such as love, such as healing that you mention are excellent ones to hold within your frame of consciousness, and to add to this your desire for this to occur. The emotional response is the energy you give to your direction, and then these take place. If you so desire to experience something that is not quite so pleasant, for instance, if you wish to have a rather anxious and unpleasant day the following day, it is quite within your power to hold on to negative ideas, perhaps about a relationship, and then to fire this with fear and worry and anxiety, and this you shall also create for yourself on the following day.
From where you see us in your understanding, can you talk about the causes or the reasons why it is so hard for many individuals to release all of their fears and doubts so that when they are practicing, accepting what you've said and believing it as I do, and if I want to help another understand and believe it, is there any way we can help remove the doubts from those who seek to understand as you do and as you're teaching us to do?
Each individual has their own level and complement and supply, shall we say, of their fears and doubts and such negative ideas and feelings. And each one of these must be worked out, must be wrestled with by the individual. It is only in this fashion that then the fear or the doubt begins to change. The individual cannot rely on any other individual to remove such things. It must be done within one's own self.
That's very, very good for us to, I think, for me to have a firm understanding. We have encountered many problems in our desires to make a better future. We've encountered lots of problems in ourselves of thinking that we know best what is good for our brother, and therefore trying to influence him in some way to be this way or that way instead of some other way. You don't have a quick, easy formula for us to say, a magic mantra to get rid of that bugaboo in ourselves of thinking we know what's good for the other person?
It seems that it is always easier to see what would work best for another. Our vision is not so clouded then by needs and desires and all the old patterns that are around. However, there is really no way of influencing another except through the channels and the process of energy that includes accepting and loving that individual without condition. That is really the most spectacular way of making that influence felt.
That's a very, very clear statement of it, and it sharpens my clarity about it. I appreciate that. You have seemed to have some understanding of aspective energy, the non-physical aspects that move and become available in our personality and our intellect. Is this so?
Yes, I am aware of such.
I was wondering if there's a way for us to learn as we look at our own aspects, our individual selves, the aspects that attach to our individuality. Is there a method of looking at them, a way in which we can identify one of those aspects to become the like the head butler or the person in charge of the whole household, so that the individual's consciousness can be free from all the practical details of trying to muck around in this physical place?
The most effective way of being the leader of the entire self, including all possible aspects, is the individual portion of the personality that says, I love you all. You are all equal. You are all good. I love you all. This brings all of the aspects, all portions of the personality drawn into receiving this love, and then will reveal themselves to the personality without fear. The trust is automatically there. Love is indeed the main, the most beneficial, the most practical way of achieving anything you desire.
All right. And would it be helpful in this sort of work with ourselves, having identified and put in place an aspect of total loving and all of those attributes you described? Is it helpful for us to assign a name to that aspect for ourselves and an identity that we can talk with in a way of saying, "Now take care of everybody"? And can we create that kind of a communication with a chief aspect of ourselves?
That is a possibility. However, I would not suggest that be the primary way of taking care of this type of situation you describe. This love, this generation of energy is best suited to your everyday consciousness, to the portion of you that is in most control at any given time.
Then would this be the aspect that we would fit when we think of our own identity? If I think I am, as I walk around in my grounded condition and say, who am I? I am Martin. That's my identity. But I'm wondering if there is a discrimination to be made between one's own central consciousness of identity, the I am, and the aspects that take care of are dealing with the illusions of the physical world around us that seem to be so solid and so limiting.
The The I am that I am is the portion of the self that is the most responsible for the entire person, both physical and non-physical. Everything is mediated through I am that I am. This is control central, shall we say?
All right, and again, that's as clear a statement as I've ever encountered. That it helps me to understand it in a better, newer way. Back to the manifestation topic we were talking about, the shaping of tomorrow. So many of us are focused on the material world and are learning that that's all right too. And we're focused on wanting manifested abundance of material things, and the money and the support and the security that leaves us free to feel free to be free. Is there any way you can help us of helping ourselves to move in a sense of abundance and strength of materiality as we move in materiality?
Indeed, there has been for a very long time a perception that there is a limited amount of what is physical, just as there is a perception that there is a limited amount of what is spiritual or limited amount of energy. However, this is not the case at all. There is no limits here. It is only an expansion and a perception. The idea, the desire to have unlimited or abundance is quite acceptable. It is very well to hold that idea for all involved, that there is plenty around for everyone, that everyone can indeed live in abundance, for that is truly the case.
Well, this kind of news and information is so welcome to all of us. And it seems so easy for you to see. And we all want so much to see it as easily for ourselves in just our everyday lives.
You have little ideas that you have all around you about what it is to live, what is reality, what it is that you can have. These ideas you have stored away ever since you became physical. The ideas that your parents, the people that were your peers as a youngster, are all involved here as well, so that you are limited only by what you have stored.
And this is a process of unloading cleaning out all of the stored memories.
It is always best to think of this not so much as a cleaning out, not so much as a difficult process, but these are all things that one can play with. These are little gifts that you have that make life very interesting. Look at them and love them. They give you much pleasure.
We're sharpening up our abilities to see the power of thought and the power of mind as we see that physical laws don't apply in an absolute sense as we thought they did, and we learn how to walk on fire, and we learn how to bend metal with our thoughts, and we want to learn more, which we're learning fast also in the healing area of looking into the ailments of the body and the disease entities and so forth, and seeing that they are also susceptible to our thoughts. They're created by our thoughts and can be banished by our thoughts. There's elements in our end that we do not know quite how to extend into that we're attracted to, such as control of space and time. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Space and the movement of material through space is what creates the concept, what creates the experience of time. There is an experiment that you might try that would expand your experience of what time is and how you can manipulate it. If you take a clock and put it in the front of you, if it has a minute hand, and relax and send your consciousness elsewhere, perhaps somewhere that you are very comfortable, and while you are there and are comfortable, then very calmly open your eyes and look at the clock. You will discover that time has stopped, that the minute hand either moves very slowly or preferably moves not at all. The time that you are away is stopped.
Yes, this would apply to the second hand as well, I would think, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We will certainly experiment with our own selves in this beginning way. It's very helpful. The slowing of processes is an important one to many of us, and also the speeding up of processes to others of us becomes important. And I'm hearing that we can gain some control over this in the processes of life called aging or degeneration, that those processes may be reversible as well as any other phenomena.
Yes, indeed, they are. This is truly a challenge you have marked out for yourself. The cells within one's body hold on to memories. They remember what you believe aging is all about. If it is in a particular manner, they will follow your instructions, and at various points in your body will have stored such appropriate memories to discharge certain substances at the appropriate time and to stop others. This is a process you have been involved with since you began your physical journey.
Yes, I understand, so that we should have no doubt that we understand and no doubt that we know, because we've already demonstrated that we're doing what you describe, that we're in control of these processes, consciously or unconsciously, all the time.
Yes, this is the case. Now, if you wish to change this, then you must seek out an idea that you hold and have held since you have been a child, for instance, about what aging is. And if you become acquainted or reacquainted with this idea, you will find that you have stored it in a particular place within your body. And if you find it there, you may coax it out. You may coax yourselves to release it, that it is no longer necessary, that they have done their duty, and it is time to change their job.
Is there any clue that we would have, a recognition factor of how we would locate the specific area of the body? Maybe a different area for each individual, or is it the same?
It would be different for each person. One technique to handle this would be to sit very comfortably and to put yourself into a trance state and to begin to ask yourself a specific question about a physical symptom or an idea that you wish to follow, and ask that idea, where that idea is in your body, that it signal you, that it itch or in some fashion let you know. Then you can begin working, releasing that portion through a massage is a very good technique.
This can be self-massage, I would assume, as well as others if you can't reach the area yourself.
Yes, it is. For some people, they would be better off again with someone else doing the massage. Or it is quite possible for you, especially in an altered state of trance state, perhaps, to make this release yourself.
Thank you. That's you always offer options that are feasible, and we bless you for that. I wondered if you could comment a little bit about the message that we've been seeming to get here, to keep focused on I can be expressed in about three ways: to stay focused on spontaneity within the present moment, and to keep focused on total trust in the process, which would result in a state of mind on our part of allowing everything, allowing everything to be as it is. That sums up kind of a goal focus I've been hearing. Can you comment about it?
Yes, indeed. These are very important elements of the creation of every moment. There is the spontaneity that is quite the factor that is involved with every moment and its creation. Things are not planned, they occur according to all those involved at the moment of creation, and trust is an essential portion of living and of experiencing the feeling, the desire, the actual being of well-being, of love within this physical universe as well as in the non-physical.
Thank you. That's very nicely put. Then it seemed to me that any individual who desires then to join this kind of condition and state that you describe, anyone can do it who is totally or almost totally free from fear and from doubt and from judgment. If those three things, any of them, are present, it seems to me they block an individual's ability to join the stream of evolution.
Those are three things that are always great barriers when creating any given moment, any given time or relationship or any kind of energy building. The judgment is quite detrimental to bringing about anything more than what is currently acceptable. Ideas are very much always in a process, so that the freedom to change ideas, to allow them to change and unfold, is exceptionally an important process.
Well, again, I thank you for your answers. They are heartening and affirming. We don't wish to bring this to an end, but we have a back-to-back appointment with another explorer, and our time span is running low. Do you have a comment to leave us with between now and the next time we join with you in our time frame?
I have enjoyed tremendously the conversations, the questions, and my answers here. This has been a very rewarding dialogue. I wish to thank both of you for your delightful questions and for helping us develop here. I look forward to when we may do this again.
Yes, it's a marvelous transaction. If you enjoy it, it makes it perfect. We look forward as well. And we'll see you soon, talk with you again.
Indeed, it will be like the blinking of an eye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
So there you have it, another small segment of the vast amount of information presented to the Institute through the laboratory in a variety of different forms. Please realize that the Institute takes no official stance regarding the validity of the metaphysical or philosophical content of any Explorer material. Our intent is to share this information with you and allow you to decide for yourself.